Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the most magical podcast in the Midwest. That's right, the Magic in the Midwest podcast, starring USA Today best-selling author J.B. Michaels and his more successful wife, Ashley Michaels. And now, your hosts. All right, everybody. Hello. What is happening in the world of theme parks? Well, you will find out right here on the Magic in the Midwest podcast. No, not really. We just talk about our own experiences, not the news. Sometimes the news.
Rarely.
But, yeah, rarely. So this podcast is brought to you by the many works of J.B. Michaels, and the newest, which is out on pre-order right now on Amazon, you guys, is Rafterys Ghost, the fifth book in the Mac and Millie mystery series. And boy, oh boy, the reviews are great. People seem to be quite taken by the latest Mac and Millie adventure. Seems like the dark and stormy night setting and the twists and turns of the story are keeping people on the edge of their seat and keeping people guessing. I will say that I did do research. I did try and figure out, to the best of my ability, how Agatha Christie sets up her type of her mystery and her mysteries, and kind of the setups and cues and clues and hints that she drops or doesn't drop, because sometimes really you can't at all figure out what's going on with her mysteries for the most part. But pretty great. So I'm very excited about Rafterys Ghost. That's coming out soon. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we have a subscription model as well on magicinthemidwestpodcast.bandcamp.com, where you could download, for little as $3 a month, get a ton more content on the Magic in the Midwest podcast, a ton. So check that out as well. We'll probably set up some sort of Patreon thing in the future or something, but we are excited also because through this podcast we've met a lot of great people, and we have met friends. We have literally made great friends, and one of those friends is Ashley.
Is Ashley?
No. Tell us who the friend is, not you.
It's Emily over at Magical Mouse Travel. She is a vacation planner through that agency, and also a great friend of ours that we met through the podcast, like JB said. And she is just lovely as a human being, and equally lovely travel planner, specializing in Disney, Universal, and Disney Cruise Line accommodations, travel.
I will say you're such a...
Wait. No, but one part I always talk about at the end, and I feel like it's more important to mention in the beginning, is that her services are free of charge. So you're not going to pay any more to use a travel agent. And I think now more than ever, as I always say, is the time to use one. There's just a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that have happened within the last year that are new, especially with Disney. And Emily is a great resource. She gets to Disney often, and she's up on the latest. She is just the best. And she'll let you, if you're the type of person that likes to plan some of your own trips, she'll let you take charge of whatever parts of your trip you want to, or she can do it all for you, including airport transfers and the whole thing. And she can come up with, she does customized itineraries for you, and also, what am I missing? I mean, she can book dining, she does the resorts, travel. Is there anything else?
She also will she'll also help you with just your actual there's things that she gives you after you book your trip that are very, very helpful. She gives you tips and tricks and things that she suggests that you do and how to do them. So you're getting a lot of value from booking with Emily.
For no cost.
For zero cost. And what's cool about also is she handles everything with grace.
She does.
She is just a person that keeps herself, keeps calm, right? And,
she deals with us.
So and your idiocy. So that's a lot.
Huge.
That's a big ask. But no, she's fantastic. So I would definitely
reach out to her. And the best way to do that is through email. Her email is emily@magicalmousetravel.com. If you do reach out to her, just let her know that we sent you over.
Yes, please do. Please do. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, now to get back to it. We are going to, this is the 93rd podcast of Magic in the Midwest.
We're going to have like a party for the 100th?
I think it's the 93rd. We should. Let's have a party.
Like just the two of us?
A podcast pool party. Bringing the mic into the pool. No, by the time
podcast.
By the time we have that, it'll probably be closed already, right? Maybe not. No, it'll still be open. It'll be close to the end, but it'll still be open. So we are going to discuss today our big trip that we just got back from not that long ago. It was a nice week-long trip in the Magic. And we thought we would discuss today at length and kind of give you guys a comparison of Disney's Copper Creek Resort, villas, Copper Creek Villas, and then, of course, the Grand Floridian Villas as well. So, to give you a little background, we stayed at Copper Creek 4 out of the 7 nights that we were at the last at Disney, and then we stayed 3 nights at Grand Floridian. So now we stayed in a 2-bedroom villa lock-off with a walk-in shower at Copper Creek.
I don't know why the walk-in shower is like what they all have those.
I think some of them are tubs. Most of them are tubs.
We've never been in one with a tub ever. All of the 1-bedrooms have walk-in showers.
No, we're talking a 2-bedroom. The 2-bedroom, because the
so
1-bedroom is a regular.
Is the one that's in ours in the studio part?
Yeah, we had a walk-in shower.
Okay, whatever. I don't think it's notable. Just stop saying it.
It is notable.
Or I quit.
Go ahead and quit. I could do this by myself.
Right.
Everyone thinks you're an idiot anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know. Okay, anyway. So, no, we stay, like, you gotta get all snotty about the walk-in shower.
I mean, like, no one cares.
Well, people that can't lift their legs very well, okay, do care. Okay, you big jerk.
That's not what I'm saying.
You're being so snotty and not accommodating to people with needs.
That's not it. I know you, and you're going to say it every single time you say it. You're going to say a 2-bedroom with a walk-in shower, and I'm going to lose my mind. You said it once, and that's it.
Whatever.
We're done. It also doesn't really matter that much. It's also doesn't really matter that it's a dedicated 2-bedroom or one. Like there's a separate door, and it's like a studio. It's almost exactly the same. So just enough.
Shut up. Okay, so next.
So don't say it again, or I'll sock you.
So we stayed in a bigger accommodation over at Copper Creek, and then we had a 1-bedroom villa over at Disney's Grand Floridian Villas, and we're in the original Villas building, not the brand new Big Pine Key that just opened with a bunch of glorified hotel rooms.
Fake DVC.
Fake DVC, we call them, because you don't even have a regular fridge. You have a beverage cooler, and
but they say you shouldn't keep food in because they can't guarantee that it'll stay.
I'm a little ticked.
It's a home away from home.
It's not a home away from home. Doesn't really make a lot
of sense.
No.
And here's my problem. Full stop. I know this isn't the point of this podcast, but they're going to have people buy into these. And now, as someone that as people that own at the Grand Floridian already, it's going to make getting a regular studio even harder because now there's more people in the pool.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Diz. Okay, so.
You're going to say something else.
What did you think? No, that's terrible.
DIC.
Yes. So.
My brother used to try and spell that word that you already know what I'm trying to spell, except he didn't realize that there was a K on the end of it. He would just go around saying DIC.
DICs.
He had like a song.
DICs.
DIC. Don't worry about our childhood growing up. Everything was fine.
Sorry.
He did not do it like
I'm
that.
Sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, Harrison would be doing that. I think it's him.
Podcast.
It's Harrison's fault. Anyway.
No, not our son.
No, just the way I was doing it.
Okay, let's get to the actual.
Yeah, can we? You done?
No.
Okay. All right. So.
Never.
So, the other cool thing about what we are going to talk about today is we had a couple really different experiences. We're going to outline those today because the nature of Copper Creek is just very different than the nature of Grand Floridian Villas.
And really any other DVC building when you think about it.
Right. It's a unique situation. So, okay, so why do people love the Wilderness Lodge so much, Ashley? Like,
I mean, mainly because of the lobby. I mean, if you've never stepped foot in there, you should. It's
amazing.
It is. It's breathtaking.
Yes. So
even
lobby.
Even if that's not really your aesthetic, I feel like there's, you'll love it when you walk in there.
It's so pretty. It's so, you're just taken aback by it. It just feels so great being in or around the Wilderness Lodge lobby. So, unlike, like Ashley was saying, unlike a lot of other, especially deluxe resort DVC accommodations, you're not super close to the main lobbies of those deluxe resorts.
Yeah, usually the DVC buildings are separate, a completely separate building from the main building.
Right.
And sometimes really further out. Depending on the resort, they're all set up a little different, but Copper Creek is the only, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Deluxe resort that they actually, and the reason why this is they have a separate, the DVC from, I don't know when Boulder Ridge opened before, but Boulder Ridge is the original DVC over at Wilderness Lodge, and it's a separate building, still fairly close to the lodge though.
Right.
But Copper Creek they actually renovated actual resort rooms of Wilderness Lodge to then be turned into DVC rooms.
Yeah.
And so it's a very unique situation where those rooms are actually in this really main part of the actual lodge.
Yeah.
Which
so
is really cool.
We were in rooms 3109 and 3111, and we were so close to the lobby, so close to, like, our view was of Copper Creek itself. Like, we'd see the actual creek coming out from the geyser inside the lobby. Right, the little hot spring, I should say, not geyser. A little hot spring inside the lobby. And then it, flows out into Copper Creek and then flows down to, the falls, Copper Falls, into the pool. So we were right next to the creek, really close to the, the beauty of the lobby and just, the lanterns at night. And we just had an amazing spot, and we were so close. Our elevator was like a second. Our elevator ride was literally like 2 seconds, maybe. It was like, boop, we're there.
And our room was great because it wasn't actually like right next to the elevator, so it was far enough away to not hear the bustling of the elevator, but it was a very short walk. And we're, normally when you're stay DVC, you have to leave your DVC building and walk over to a main building to get to a store or anything. A lot of times. And depending on which building you're in, because sometimes they can be several DVC buildings, depending on the resort. Sometimes there's just one. It can be, kind of like a thing that you have to do, where you have to, go down here and then walk over and then go up over here, and it takes a little bit to do that. So the convenience of having this be like in the actual lodge was awesome. I'm going to say this real fast, and I know that JB may not agree. Like, if there was an option right now for me to trade all of the DVC points we have to be Copper Creek, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
If I could trade all of our points to be Copper Creek.
Wow. Call Disney and see if they'll do it.
No, they will not do it.
Okay.
That's how much, and I didn't think I would feel that way because of the nature of Wilderness Lodge. Like, I love it, but I always talk about how it's not on the monorail and stuff. Yet, I would still do this.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Yes.
Transfer them.
Wow. Well, go over there. See, call DVC and see if they'll do it.
They won't.
Hi, I'm Ashley of Magic in the Midwest podcast.
You probably
I'm
know
an
who
influencer, so you better
I never,
give me
I never
my points where
if I'm
I want
ever
them.
become an influencer, shoot me.
You kind of are, though, already.
No, that's gross.
Well, you are.
I mean, good for people that want to be. I don't want to be.
Right, you're too dumb then. You're right.
I don't know if that's the reason.
So yeah, Copper Creek. So we stayed there, and I think it's an interesting situation because we stayed there, and it was just that view we had was just wonderful, and just being so close to the lobby and just feeling that warmth of like just the Wilderness Lodge vibe itself was just really great. Now, let's talk about the room itself. Ash kind of made an interesting point. The rooms at Copper Creek are very nice and they're newer, but the design is pretty it's lighter tones than it was before. Like Boulder Ridge is much darker tones in the rooms.
It is.
So there's lighter tones used here, and the one, it's still because they converted rooms, like regular rooms, and made them into these 2-bedrooms or 1-bedroom villas. You could feel that still because the kitchen is a line kitchen. There's not like a...
I don't think everyone knows what that means. It's something that you invented.
Well, no, but it literally is just all of the kitchen, appliances and everything are on one wall, right?
Well,
rather than it being
Yes, they're on one wall, but then the fridge is on the, across from it, and the gap between the two is not very big.
Yeah, so it's
And you see that set up a lot in, apartments or condos, sometimes maybe a smaller house. It's if they're, we could not, if my dad was standing in the kitchen, I could barely walk past him.
Yeah.
In that one area. Because it was just, so if you have the fridge open, no one could walk by. If you had the dishwasher open, no one could walk by. Not that it's the end of the world.
Right.
But some of them have, which we'll get to later, the Grand Floridian, that one, the main part, the kitchen part, the living area, was
big.
Maybe 3 times as big as Copper Creek's. And, Bay Lake also has a smaller... kitchen area. Maybe not as small as Copper Creek, but it's pretty tight in there too.
Right.
So it just depends on the setup, and like JB said, also if they built, obviously Wilderness Lodge wasn't built with DVC in mind in terms of the actual lodge, so they renovated.
Right. Re-renovated.
They renovated the rooms. To accommodate that, which I'll give them credit because they actually did it versus this Grand Floridian thing where they are not doing that.
Right.
Just forget it.
Yes.
Just phone it in. It's fine.
Right. So so it's a pretty great, it's a pretty great, setup. I mean, that's one little thing. It doesn't feel as big as some of the other villas, right? Because of the way that it's set up. But that was not really an issue. We still super enjoyed the Copper Creek. Just the vibe of the place itself is just a wonderful thing. So we also had a very short walk. We were actually on the other side of the U, right? So we would go down to the lobby and then have to walk across the lobby. You'd go over the bridge of the hot spring and then go over by Artist Point and then go down to Rory Forks to get our beverages. Or we could have walked out and gone down to the pool in Geyser Point to get our beverages as well. But it's just, I don't know, for some reason, just being at the lodge, it was just such a really great vibe. And being close to the main lobby, which is just one of the main attractions of all of Walt Disney World, I think, just really adds an air of charm. And we were also very close to the Mercantile, we were right there. So, it was, yeah. Geez, it was a really
I think part of it
charming
was our
stay.
room was we had such a great placement. I would argue that I think almost all of the Copper Creek rooms, I think that they're like anything, there are some exceptions, but where your room is, what room you get can make or break your stay. I think part of the reason we're so charmed with it is because, one, it's the lodge, it's so great, but our room was perfect.
Yeah.
It was the perfect placement.
It was.
If we had been facing away from the pool, I don't love that. When you just face the wilderness, that's not my favorite.
Right.
I like to face the busyness and people and stuff. which is shocking. I know it's only because I don't have to engage with them. I see
Right.
them from afar.
She just likes that they're
It's
there.
ideal. Yeah.
Right.
I just like that they're there
Yes.
for my amusement.
Yes. Just like that you're around, even though I don't really care.
I don't want to
about you.
interact. No, but I think that that's playing a decent part here because we just, sitting out on the balcony was just really, and that comes down to what kind of person you are, which is the same for this whole review. Like, right? You could be a total Grand Floridian fan, and this whole review, this is just our opinion.
Yes.
And our thoughts.
Yes.
So,
now, okay, so anything else you want to talk about? Like, we did have, so Rory Fork we did eat at. And I will say they must have changed their menu or something because I did not see. So we ate at both places actually. We did get food from both places.
We did get food.
We did get a food from both the places. Okay, it's me and Mario. So we did get food from both places. We did get Rory Forks and Geyser Point. I will say I think I liked my Geyser Point food. I think it was just tastier. But we got the brisket nachos or something, right? And we got that yogurt, like, parfait thing. Like the little cheese, like the thing we got, Harrison, when we ordered from Geyser Point that one night. We just got a bunch of snacks.
Yeah.
And then they screwed up because it was only, I ordered it and then immediately it was ready because the kid at the place hit the wrong thing.
Yeah, it happens.
And then blamed it on the system. And she kind of had me sit there. I had to stand there for a while. It was fine. It was no big deal. But so yeah, pretty interesting stuff. But anyway, so we ate at Rory Forks. I'll be honest, the Rory Fork burger I had just did not like. It was like a barbecue bacon burger, and it was the kind of, I don't know, the basic burger patty that Disney uses probably at Cosmic Rays or something. It just wasn't super good. It wasn't bad, but I didn't love it. I know that they used to have a burger there that was phenomenal. It had egg on it or something, and Dylan and my nephew said he loved it, but they did not have that when we went. So and then Geyser Point, we did get a bunch of other stuff. We had an interesting thing on the first day that we were at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, Copper Creek Villas. We at the pool, because we had time before our room was ready, so we had our suits and our backpacks or whatever, our personal items, I guess you should say, if you're using airline lingo. And we went to the pool, and then they announced that they were going to have s'mores.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Later, and
did we not talk about this?
We haven't talked about this yet. So we were talking about. They said they had s'mores. This was on our first day, and the s'mores would start at 6:30 and go from 6:30 to 7:30, and you could come, get some s'mores over at the fire pit over by.
I listened to the announcement twice.
Yeah.
That happened over an hour period of time.
Yeah.
Both times, the words used were complimentary s'mores.
Yes, complimentary s'mores. Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Just off the cuff.
Means free.
Free what?
Complimentary.
What's included in a s'more?
Chocolate. Mm-hmm. Usually milk chocolate.
Usually.
Graham cracker. Mm-hmm. And marshmallow.
Yeah.
All of those components.
I would say most people would agree with that.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
So they also had a tie-dye shirt announcement as well that you could have done, but that was clearly marked as $17.
Yeah, $17 per person, for
which
for
I
a
get.
shirt.
You're getting a shirt.
To me, I don't care how much it is. Just be upfront with what it's going to be.
Yes. So, okay. So we decide, hey, we were done with our pool day, and then we were like, hey, looks like our room is ready. It was already a little late, but I was happy with our room so much that I didn't care.
It wasn't too late.
It was 4:15 or so.
Yeah.
So we did that, right? We go to our room. Oh, it's so great. We get in, we get settled, we get dressed. We kind of, walk over down to Geyser Point and the campfire area. And there's some people already there with their sticks and their roasted marshmallows. They're roasting marshmallows over the fire pit, and some of the Disney cast members are there. And there's this cart that's sitting there as well that has like the accoutrements for the s'mores.
Yes.
Right? So we walk up, and they announce to us that it is $6 for a s'mores kit.
Well, the s'mores kit includes the graham cracker and the chocolate. The marshmallow was complimentary.
Yes, the marshmallow is complimentary, and the stick you use to roast the marshmallow.
And the fire.
But, you guys, you had to pay $6.
And that's for to make one
to make
s'more.
one s'more. The amount of graham cracker they gave you was only for one tiny s'more.
Chocolate.
And the chocolate had a very fancy 50th anniversary logo on it. Right?
Don't say, to me, you should just have those, like, I don't even, why would you say complimentary s'mores?
Yes.
You should have just gone back up to the mercantile and seen if they had chocolate and graham crackers, because they probably did.
Yeah, that the cast members were
like embarrassed
that they had to upcharge us for graham crackers and pieces of milk chocolate.
Okay, so I would say there were several other families that were there either before
or
during, whatever. No one did it. Everyone just roasted marshmallows and then ate melted marshmallows because they were like, what is that? You know, they're coming down there, let's say you have 3 kids. Now you have to pay, $6
if everybody gets
for each
$36.
I mean, how ridiculous, though. Not only is it ridiculous... If you had told me up front it's $6 per s'more, I would feel differently. I still think it's crazy, but I would feel differently than telling me it's complimentary and then it actually that's complimentary marshmallows.
So this really has nothing to do with Copper Creek. It has everything to do with the terminology, with the way that Disney is run currently. That we can't just give people that are spending top dollar to stay at a deluxe resort on Disney property some s'mores. We've got to upcharge them to get a s'mores kit that will only give you one stinking little s'more. So it was very strange. So we kind of whatever. We got over that. I mean, we were still at Geyser Point. It's beautiful. Bay Lake is right there.
Well, you know what, though? I want to say real quick. I feel like there were kids that were struggling with the news of this, that they weren't going to get a s'more, and I feel like that's what they're banking on. That a parent will give in and just buy them because their kid, you told them you were going to do s'mores, and then you're like, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
And that is
not cool.
No one gave in when we were there, and you could tell every parent was like, "Okay, let's melt some marshmallows, I guess, and eat them." And then there was this lady standing there, one of the cast members, that would get really upset if your marshmallow caught on fire. Like it was you're holding it over the fire, one's maybe gonna catch on fire because people do that when they roast marshmallows, and it was like this big thing.
Yeah,
she was super nuts about it.
Yeah.
I guess they have to be careful, but...
So, which is fine, right? Because it's open flame.
I guess.
The lawyers be very, I'm sure they don't like
She was
that they
super
have s'mores.
nuts. Yeah, well then don't do it.
Right, then don't even offer it. So, whatever. So, after that, though, we just sat by Bay Lake and just relaxed and stared out at the lake, and it was beautiful. What a great spot. There's a reason why everybody raves about Geyser Point, because it's just a beautiful, peaceful spot. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just great. So, it's weird. It's like, this is the crazy thing about Disney, is that how varied your experiences can be.
Yes.
Like, from wherever you're at on property. I mean, there's so many different things you could do and different experiences you could have. A beautiful, serene lake, with a great place to eat, open, air bar, and it was awesome. So, all right. So now at Copper Creek, in our 2-bedroom, we had a full kitchen, so we used it. Your dad made us bacon and eggs almost every single morning, or pancakes, which was really nice. And we had popcorn, and we really utilized our kitchen, which is something we do whenever we're on those longer trips. Especially with more people, right? Because it is expensive to constantly buy
oh my
just
gosh,
the regular
you guys,
food.
It can make a huge difference in the price of your trip.
It really did.
No, I mean, if that's something you like to do and you budget for it and you like to buy food out every single time, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking to save money, especially at DVC when you have the refrigerator I mean, you can save a lot by just eating sandwiches for lunch and toast for breakfast, eggs, whatever. So, anyways, we've talked about that before.
Yes. So we had a great, really nice stay. The vibe there was just wonderful. So we had 4 nights there, and then we transferred over to the Grand Floridian, and we had a 1-bedroom villa at the Grand Floridian. We were up pretty high. We were on the 7th floor, and we had a lake view, and, well, a water view, I guess. And it was the Seven Seas Lagoon, and it was a beautiful view. Now, here's the big difference that Ashley talked about earlier this time. So the Grand Floridian Villa's building is separate from the Grand Floridian, like, lobby, right, and other parts of the resort. So you have a bit of a walk to get over to the main lobby.
Yeah.
So it is separate. Okay.
I also want to say, I think the Grand Floridian is one of the only. Maybe I'm wrong about this. No, I'm probably wrong about this. I'm thinking like that actual main building doesn't house any rooms, like hotel rooms. I don't think it does.
Really? Maybe.
I think it's all stores and restaurants.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And there are, obviously the buildings they have that are off to the sides are very, very close to it, which is different than DVC because it's way further off. But I don't think. I'm trying to think of what other maybe. Saratoga technically doesn't have anything in its lobby area. But the Grand Floridian, unlike, the Polynesian and the Contemporary, those rooms are right in that lobby building area.
Right. Yeah.
Where the Grand Floridian is sort of made up of separate buildings.
Yes. Yeah. So it is, it's further away from the main areas of the resort, which is fine. That's okay. It wasn't a big deal. Although you do feel that, I think that was a really big, that was a really big difference, between, you had the amazing, well, first off, the lobby at the Grand Floridian is awesome too, but it's not the same as the lodge's lobby. It's just a very different.
Even though it's grand and tall and everything, it's not, it's very quiet in there, and there's sort of this feeling of don't touch anything. It's very, which appeals to some people.
Yes.
They like the quiet of the Grand Floridian, and it's, Victorian amazing.
Yes,
but,
yes.
Yeah.
So, it is still, it's still great. But being further away in the Villa's building, you do feel that, especially when we were so close and in the intimate sort of just chill vibe of the lodge, right? The majestic, just oof. I think that was so right away. The vibe itself is very different. And then when we got there, we went to the main pool. And it was just a different type of a lot of adults over at that pool with drinks. It's just a different demographic. We didn't even
realize that wasn't really the main pool. I thought that it kind of was.
No, it is the main pool. I would still call that the main pool. They didn't
have any lifeguards on duty.
Right. Or maybe that was a quiet pool.
Yeah, I think they've switched it. I
think
maybe it used to be the main pool, and now it's not. Because people had drinks in the pool.
Yeah.
Which, normally they're... I also think there were... I don't know if you agree, but I feel like there are things that happen at the Grand Floridian that they're okay with that don't happen at any other hotel on property. There are accommodations for this hotel that no other hotel sees.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
We just noticed some of that.
Yeah, we noticed the level of service.
And we've stayed at the Polynesian and the Contemporary, which arguably have rooms that are just as expensive, if not more, than the Grand Floridian. But there's this vibe, and not everyone there is like that. But my mom grabbed this little thing of hot sauce to put on her food at the quick, and it was in this little tiny glass bottle. Everything is,
a little Tabasco.
It's cool, right? But there was sort of the certain things. It's still the only resort on property that has room service. You can get food delivered to your room.
Yeah.
No other resort.
Wow.
Contemporary, Polynesian, no.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Grand Floridian, sure.
Yeah.
We'll do it for you. I feel like, if you really need some sort of high level accommodations and want to be able to pretty much do whatever you want, this is probably the hotel where they'll tell you to stay.
Yes, totally. So, a fascinating, a very different experience just right away, because like we kind of knew we would be a little further away from everything because the Villas building is kind of far. Now the Villas building itself is beautiful. It has its own beautiful lobby with the penguins from Mary Poppins, like a beautiful fountain, a huge chandelier that goes up multiple levels. Like it's in and of itself, the Villas building is great.
Oh yeah.
So it was just different. You just had that vibe that just felt, like you said, Ash, there's people that,
which I'm sure can happen anywhere on property, and I'm not saying everyone that stays there is like that, but it was the vibe.
Well, we had, because they have these cabanas with TVs in them, and basically tents, big cabana tents
that were being used. I mean, I feel like you see those
furniture,
at other resorts, and they're not really
never
being
used.
Like there were people in those.
Oh no!
And
yeah.
There were a lot of people, I feel like a lot of team members working, like service people working at the pool, which you don't see as much. They had like a full service bar and grill outside, more than probably any other resort does.
Right.
I mean, it was like more than you could get maybe at some quick service places at other resorts. Like it's very flushed out.
It's wild. It's wild. Yeah. So... interesting. Yeah, with the dedicated server guys that was constantly busy. Like he was walking around with that tray the whole time and checking on all these people the whole time. Like it was intense. Now the pool area. So we were at the quiet pool as well, but then we also went to the pool that's closer with the splash pad from Alice in Wonderland, which is cool.
Yeah, which is why I think that's the main pool.
Yeah, that's the main pool now. And then like a huge water slide. And so we were there as well, and that was really, that's a really cool pool with a great big waterfall, and it's very nice. So now the accommodations itself. So I liked the actual room more than I did at Copper Creek. Like I did it only just from a layout perspective. Like, I liked the more open concept.
I mean, the other place couldn't be open. They didn't have the room.
Right.
This, kitchen area with the, living area, literally, I think, it was at least twice the size. I think it was more than twice the size of Copper Creek's. There's just, we could have left the, so like we mentioned, we stayed in a 2-bedroom at Copper Creek and then decided to stay in a 1-bedroom and just have me, Jim, and JB sleep on the Murphy bed. And we could have left the Murphy bed out, and there was still plenty of room for people to walk around it and everything. And the kitchen was big and dedicated to just have a kitchen with a booth and the whole. There was just a lot of room in there. If we had slept in that middle section of Copper Creek, which we didn't, and pulled the bed out, there wouldn't have been any room to walk past the bed.
Right.
It's just very there. Plus, the Grand Floridian had this amazing trim work everywhere in the room.
Oh my gosh.
It was just trim everywhere, wainscoting, everything that could possibly trimmed out was trimmed out and trimmed out on the trim. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. And it's very bright white, and they used some really pretty blue colors and grays, and the curtains. I mean, everything was looked
exactly
at first glance. You could tell this is supposed to be the most stunning, regardless of your taste for it or not. It's definitely the one that looks like they put the most most work into it and money. Yes.
So then at 8:00 every morning the music starts. If you're on the balcony, you can hear the turn of the century music playing every morning, 8:00 sharp. Boom, it would turn on.
Yeah. The tile in the bathroom. everything that could possibly.
The bathroom, the shower was huge.
And that was one complaint I had. There was 2 parts of the bathroom. There was a vanity section of the bathroom, and then there was a whole bathroom area with the toilet and shower.
And the shower.
It's almost I know people like us travel with grandparents and stuff. It would have been nice if they had just made 2 bathrooms out of it.
Right.
Because it was all this wasted space. It was just
big room,
giant,
lots of room.
Yeah.
Which was cool, but also I get it. From that perspective.
And the master, the bedroom had this giant closet, too. You were going to be living there for 3 months. It was insane.
Yeah. Beautiful accommodations. But a lot of controversy in the DVC world right? Boulder Ridge has not had a refurb in a long time. And DVC decided to do a refurb of Grand Floridian Villas before Boulder Ridge, and they just opened.
Right. So they have the Murphy beds.
So they have the Murphy beds and everything.
Yeah.
So an interesting thing happened to us when we first walked in our Grand Floridian Villa, which I was totally taken. I loved that room. It was beautiful, that villa. It was awesome. So we actually go by the refrigerator, and there's a board above the refrigerator that just kind of covers the cabinet, like the area that the fridge is in.
There's like a space between where the cabinets start and the fridge, and they covered it with like a piece of tray.
We opened it, and we opened the fridge, and the board above the fridge fell off.
And you guys, it was a heavy board, and when I picked up the piece, it was literally being held in with two very short, like
nails
really
or
thin
staples?
Nails that they looked more like staples, to be honest. That had no business holding in a board that heavy. And my dad was a carpenter.
Yeah, he knew
for 40 years.
And he
was like, "This is not right."
Right. We called. So okay. So this is interesting. This is insider news. So we called maintenance.
We didn't want to get dinged and have it look like we did.
We were like, hey, this was not us. Like, this literally just fell off.
Well, and when we opened the fridge, like before we opened it, we saw that the board looked like it was uneven. Something was wrong. Yeah.
So we called. The maintenance guy comes up, and he's like, He's like, well, this should not be happening. And he literally said this. He goes, well, those rehab guys. Well, the rehab workers, blah, blah. And then he stopped. He, didn't totally throw them under the bus.
You could tell the reson he reacted that way was when he saw the nails or the staples, whatever they were. You could tell he was trying not to react like he knew that those were not sufficient, which I think any logical person could look at and be like, that's not going to hold up. So he was very, very adamant about that. Yeah, there was also a piece of trim missing somewhere else in the kitchen. The closer we looked at things, the more. Now, again, I also when we travel with my dad, he happens to,
he's just
he knows a lot of these things. He did it for a living. He knows when things have been rushed and if they've been done right, whatever. It seemed like a lot of, MacGyvering of the things. Things didn't line up very good, or certain things would have been caulked and other things just it just stopped, or not the end of the world, but seemed like there were some flimsy things happening when you looked closer.
Right.
So if you're heading there, also the sink was really tiny. Not that that's a huge thing, but I don't know if you noticed how tiny the sink was.
It was actually pretty small.
I mean, the cabinets, everything was that bright white. It was, JB even said to me, surprisingly, that he loved the aesthetic of the room. And it's hard not to be captivated by it. And I think I really like the DVC rooms, too, because they're not as, Victorian.
Yeah, they're a little more softer and more of a modern sensibility, So,
one side note I want to add because of this is that you realize how easy it would be to update your house for very little money, just doing paint, coating and trim work. It does not cost that much, and you can really, that's what sets it apart when you think about it. It's all the, there was so much trim on the ceiling. It was insane.
Yes.
And it really made it look pretty bougie.
So, another interesting weird thing that we noticed in the Grand Floridian room, or one bedroom villa, was there were only 2 chairs for a party of 5 of us. Mm-hmm. So it was okay, that's weird. There's only 2 chairs on this giant balcony. Yeah. So I called and I just said, can we get a couple more chairs? And they brought it up quickly.
Sure, they did.
But it was interesting that there were only 2 for this giant one bedroom that sleeps multiple people.
Usually always there's 4 for a 1 bedroom.
Yeah, so not a big deal, but something we had to address. If we were to, I feel like it's just.
It's hard. I have to try and imagine too that we had take the things we all of a sudden had to share a bathroom and stuff, which was a different thing. Imagine that we had a 2-bedroom. I'm sure that the studio connected to the one bedroom would have been. I mean, we've stayed
Would have
in the
been glorious.
studio over there too.
Yeah.
Would have been really nice. But even so, take the space issue out of it, meaning like us having our own spot. I still would pick the vibe personally
of Copper Creek.
Yeah.
So Ash and I have only stayed at our home resort, which is
Twice now.
which is Grand Floridian
Could be
Villas.
Copper Creek.
Twice.
Let's make it happen.
It's crazy. It's only twice, which is crazy. But we stayed at a deluxe studio there in a 1-bedroom villa. The 1-bedroom villa was incredible. It was just a really great room, and our view was spectacular.
It was really great.
Like at night, you could see the torches over at the Polynesian.
You know what's funny?
It was so great.
Still,
Contemporary. What?
It definitely felt like when we switched resorts, we all like got the wind taken out of us.
A little bit.
Yeah, just because it wasn't our thing.
We got attached to the Wilderness Lodge.
We did.
And because that's what it does. That's what the Wilderness Lodge does.
Well, that's what it does for us. I think it does it for a lot of people, but not everyone.
You're right. So, still a great spot, the Grand Floridian. But there's, we'll talk more about it as we, start our, going through the days chronological thing. But something to think about, right? Just sometimes it just comes down to feeling, right? Or what you prefer and how you feel, right? And for us, because we did a split stay, I think we all just took more to the Wilderness Lodge in Copper Creek this time. But still, anything else to add, Ash, before we wrap this up?
I think we covered it.
Yes, we'll get more in depth. We did eat at the Grand Floridian Cafe as well. We'll talk about that because we did a lot of great dining stuff. So we might just do a dining episode to talk about all of them, or just go to the days that we did it. So
yeah, there's so much more to talk about.
There's a lot more to talk about.
The night that we left Magic Kingdom.
Yes, there's a lot of things going on. Yes,
no air conditioning and the Peach monorail.
Yes, interesting. Peach exactly.
Peach or
so
what?
I don't know. I was gonna try to come up with some other name for Stinky, but it wasn't working. So all right, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast was brought to you by MrMichaels.com. So check out the books of J.B. Michaels. Also, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to the podcast, YouTube. Like and subscribe. Also, please book your travel with Emily at Magical Mouse Travel. She is great. Mm-hmm. There's just quality people on the planet, and she's one of them. So, anything else, Ash?
No.
All right. From the Midwest. See you later.